I'm gonna give everybody, it's 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I'm doing another live today on a very hot topic. How much tension should you apply to elastic while sewing? I'm just waiting. I'm gonna give everybody about 5 minutes to join, like the previous 2 days, and then we'll get started. I did a couple, I did an Instagram story asking for your questions, and I got some good questions, which I will answer. But if you have any questions in the meantime, put them in the little comment section below, and I will try to answer them. I see that Nicole Queller is here. She placed an order yesterday. I shipped that out last night too. So your kit is on your way. Who else is joining here? Hi, everybody. Sweet, I'm just seeing if there are any questions that are popping up. But today I want to go over how much tension to apply to elastic when sewing. But first, before we get into that, I want to go over types of elastic too, because there are different types of elastic and that you will sew when sewing lingerie. So it's 3:03 right now, so we'll give everybody maybe 2 more minutes. But I hope everybody is doing well, staying self-quarantined and staying home and safe and healthy. I know every day or every hour I'm getting updates of things that are closing, and I'm just hoping that everything gets back to normal. But in the meantime, hopefully these little Instagram stories, lives are helping you get through the day, motivating you to sew. I know that I have kind of been in a rut the past couple of days, just unmotivated, and my mood's been down just because of the current situation and how crazy the world is. So hopefully these are brightening your day. I know they're giving me a lot of motivation to get into the studio. I'm lucky that I live 3 blocks from the studio and the store, so I'm still able to get in here, get my kids together, sew and stuff like that. So I really am lucky so far. So let's give everybody 1 more minute. We have 14 people, so I want to give a couple more people time to join. Let's see if any questions have popped up. Regina and Abigail, I sent your kit last night too, so that's on its way. Let's see here. Who else is joining? Cool. A couple of the questions that came up were, if somebody, this was actually a good one that came in like last minute so Danielle came in here. She is a local Philly sewer, and she actually posed a really good question, like literally 5 minutes ago that I saw, was that if your elastic is gapping in an area, should you apply more tension or adjust your pattern? Great question. So it is 3:05, so I've given everybody 5 minutes to join. So I'm gonna be a little bit like a broken record, but I'm gonna start this again. So welcome everybody to today's Instagram Live. Today I am gonna go over a really hot topic. How much should you stretch elastic when sewing? So a lot of new bra sewers. First of all, the itinerary for this Instagram Live. So I want to go over different types of elastic. That was one question that came up. Different types of elastic. Should you use math? Should you use marks on your machine? Or should you use intuition and just get a feel for it? So first, let me go over kind of like my plan. I'll give you a live demo, and then I'm gonna go back to the questions that were asked, because I think that if I go through everything and then answer the questions, it'll make more sense. So I have right here, I'm like twiddling this, that's how nervous I am lately, like with the world. So first, let me reminisce. Oh, give me 1 second, the air just came on and it's kind of loud, so let me turn that off. Okay, it'll go off in like a second. But first, let me reminisce on a bra making story. So the first pair of lingerie that I sewed was a pair of underwear. I remember I was in my mid-20s. I was in my apartment in West Philly, and I'm bringing this out as like an example. I was sewing a pair of panties. I sewed the side seam, I sewed the gusset seam, and I took this elastic in my hand and I was like, I stretched it and I was like, it stretches, so I think I should stretch it. And let me tell you, those pair of underwear turned out so fugly. It's not even funny. But again, I think it goes to the point where like I say this at every bra making workshop. The thing about elastic is that you're not exposed to it. So you don't know what to look for. You don't know how to use it. It is like cooking something, and it's like, we actually made something a couple weeks ago, and it called for like chicharrones. I have no idea what chicharrones are. So when I went to the store, I had no idea what to look for. So I feel like it's the same thing with elastic, is that you're not exposed to it. You've never sewn it before, so you don't know what to look for, and you don't know how to sew it. So I'm hoping that these Instagram tutorials are really helping. So different types of elastic. So I have a couple of elastics like laid out here that I'm gonna go over. See that right here. And hopefully those will kind of give you a lowdown of the different types of elastic and where they're used. I know that was a question that came up. So let me switch this around right here. Okay. So here I have different types of elastic all lined up. So let's go through this, because I think an understanding of different types of elastic will be really great for you guys. So these are different types of panty elastics. They're all the same width, but they all have different types of picot edging. So this is just a regular kind of picot edge. And these are all available for sale by the yard on my web shop. So you can pick these up. This one has like a little bit of a crochet edge. This one is the same as the first one, but it's just in black. So it has like a little bit more of a decorative picot edging, panty picot edging. And then this one is same thing, picot edging, but this one has a smaller picot. Let me see this right here. A smaller picot compared to this, but it's still picot elastic. Now you're going to use this on panties mostly. I do use this on the Eloise at the top of the bralette, but it's mostly a decorative edge. And I'm able to use this because a lot of the Eloise kits come with linings that are supportive, so you can use this lighter weight elastic. So these are used on panties because they are very lightweight. So the last thing that a woman wants is to have like a quadruple butt. So you don't want that. Some people are okay with that VPL, but personally I don't like the VPL. So these are soft enough where I can wear underneath jeans on my underwear, and they're not sewn. So these are just different types, same width. So let's put those over there. This one, I'm going to put this one over because that's a strap elastic. These are fold over elastic. So I went over this the other day, or was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. These are fold over elastic. So they have a little ridge or an indentation in it. And so you can fold this. And this is mostly sewn at the top of a panty, leg openings of a panty, edging on a bra or bralette. My 8229 is a great example of how this is used. So it's in black and white. Again, both of these are available by the yard on my web shop. So these are fold over elastics right here. Okay. So these are picot elastics. So these are plush back picot elastics. And again, I did a tutorial on how to sew picot elastic on Monday. So be sure to check out my IG stories for that. So this is usually used at the top to finish the top an underarm of a bralette or a bra. And this is the same thing but in white. So on my web shop, I have beige, white, black, pink, and red. And then these are wider elastic. So this is 3/4 inch wide. So I use this mostly at the bottom of a bralette. And this is 3/4 inch wide too, but it's a fold over kind right here. So it's a fold over 3/4 inch wide. And then these are strap elastics. And I just brought these out because my caption said, how much tension should you apply when sewing elastics? Technically, these are elastics, but I did want to bring them out. They're strap elastics. So you don't apply any tension to these because you usually don't. They're usually used for elastic straps. Let me turn this around. Okay, so when sewing elastic, so each one of these, the panty elastic, the bra making elastic, and the 3/4 inch elastic, they do have different stretch percentages. The panty elastic is usually softer, so it is lighter weight and it can stretch more. There is something called a firm band elastic, and this is more like a firm band elastic, so you can stretch this less because it's firmer. Again, going back to, you're usually not exposed to it, so you don't know what to look for, and you're going to be buying most of this online. So it's important to look for keywords. I tell that to my students. Look for soft panty elastic, or look for firm band elastic, recommended for larger size, recommended for smaller size. That will really help you when choosing elastics. So let's get to the main point, is how much should you stretch it when sewing? So I say you can use math. So I have 3 methods. You can use math, you can use marks on your machine, or you can use intuition. So I say if you're starting out for a new lingerie sewer, you've never done it before, so you need some kind of like hard guidelines. You don't develop an intuition from nothing. So you need that math, you need those marks on your machine to help you develop that intuition and that feel. My students laugh at me because I don't use any pins. I rarely use pins, and then they'll call me out and laugh at me when I do use pins. Mary, that's for you. So you need math, you need those marking machines when you're starting out. Now let's go to math. So you usually stretch elastic between 3 and 8%. There's your math for you. But keep in mind that there's something that's called elastic fatigue. So the reason why we don't stretch that more, again, going back to the first pair of underwear that I made, I was like, this thing stretches, so I should stretch the heck out of it. But there's something that's called elastic fatigue. So when you are stitching elastic, you're stretching it out. And the more holes that you put in it, the closer the zigzag stitch, pretty much you're damaging the elastic, which is rubber on the inside. Somebody just asked corsets. This does not apply to corsets. This applies to stretch. Corsets are usually non-stretch. So the more stitches that you put in it, the more that you're damaging it. So the more that you stretch it, the more stitches you're putting into a closer space, so you're damaging it. So you can use between 3 and 8%. So if you want to measure out the length of your seam or whatever, undercut that by, let's say 5, because that's in between like 3 and 8. You can do that. You can also use marks on your machine. So this is great because I think that numbers are awesome, but they should be used as like a guideline, not like as a hard and set rule. And the numbers thing, the math thing, a lot of times it's hard to do that, especially like in a panty when it's in the round and stuff like that. So you can use marks on your machine. So what you'll do, let me walk over to my machine, and I do want to do a live demo of sewing elastic. Let me use this. Let me use this white John over here. Let's walk over here. Okay. So, set up my machine. I am using, let me switch this around. Somebody said, wow. Oh, Olivia, I went for a uni costume design for 2 years and no one mentioned elastic fatigue. I'm glad you learned something new, Olivia. So I'm using Faf's Creative Icon. I know there's a lot of glare on this machine. I'm using Faf's Creative Icon. I'm using I always use a zigzag stitch. And the reason being, so use a straight stitch. Use a straight stitch, usually on vertical seams on lingerie, because you don't stretch lengthwise, you stretch widthwise. So usually straight stitch for vertical seams, zigzag stitch for horizontal seams. Regina asked, do you exercise your elastic? Give it a few stretches before you sew it. I have heard that before. I don't, because I feel like you're probably asking that to prevent waviness. And I feel like the quality of the elastic has to do most with whether it gets wavy or not. So here I'm at my machine. I got this beautiful French all over deep moon lace, which is available on the web shop. Definitely during these times, I've been super stressed out about if the mail is going to be canceled, so I'm trying to get orders out before they shut down the mail. So let's see here. So this is a French all-over lace that I'm sewing with and backed by another layer of stretch mesh. So what I mean by you have marks on your machine, you can put, let me get out this guy. So you could put tape here or here or here or here. And what you would do is you would put this under the machine. Using contrast thread so you can see the stitches. Okay. So if you put tape, let's just say like right here. So what you would do is every time you would bring your elastic back, and this is just from trial and error, so you'd mark a piece of tape here and you know that if you stretch it that much, it's 5% or something. So every time you would take it back to that point where your tape is, and, oh, wait, hold on, I gotta set up my zigzag stitch, it's way too close together. Okay, so if you have your redo, so if you have your tape right here, what you would do is that would be your mark or your guideline. So you would take your elastic and stretch it back to that tape point, and then you would sew it. And then when this finger got to the presser foot, you would take it again and stretch it again back to that tape point. Okay, so you can use math. You can use math by subtracting 5%, between 3 and 8%. In the middle is 5%, so that'll work. You can use a mark on your machine, whether tape or actually drawing on your machine. I suggest tape because once you develop that intuition, you can take the tape off. Or you can use just a feel for it. Again, I don't use any pins, I don't use any calculations, I don't use any marks, but that comes after a lot of sewing lingerie, which you can do as well. So it really, I think that for new sewers, yes, use the math, yes, use the marks on your machine to develop that. But the goal is for you to develop a sense, and it's kind of like, you know, when you sew cotton versus rayon versus leather versus sweater knit, you know how to handle the fabric, and that's kind of like your end goal. So like when I sit down, I know that this all over lace is going to act this way, or this picot elastic is going to act this way. So it kind of goes for the same thing. To go back to some of the questions, I'm going to go to Danielle's question, is that, so if you do have gapping, this happens a lot of time right here. So this gets like gapped after you sew the elastic. If you do have gapping, is it a pattern? Should you adjust the pattern, or should you adjust the tension that you're sewing elastic? So first, you should determine if it's a sewing error or a pattern error. And the best way to determine that is to measure both sides against each other. If both sides are too big, right here, that means it's a pattern error, and that the pattern error, Danielle said exactly, that's where I have it. So if you measure on this side versus this side, that means that it's the pattern that's too big. But if it's only on one side versus the other, that means you did something in sewing. That's kind of my way to judge that. And you can use a firm, or you can, and if that's the case, then apply a little bit more tension when sewing that. And again, when I do apply more tension around curves of the body, or where you want it to curve. So one area is right here. One area also is on women who have a lot of women carry the weight, so if you look at them from the side, I got nothing. But a lot of women carry the weight on the bottom of their boobs. So if you look at them from a profile, it actually goes, it's actually a little bit concave, and then it goes under. So if you have like the 8229, you can add a little bit more tension right here to your elastic sewing, so that it's still grips the body. It's not like digging in, but it still grips the body. It's not gapping. So if you have any areas like that, then I would say apply a little bit more tension to it, versus like the top of your back band, like right over here. I apply like very little tension there. Another person asked in the Instagram stories today if there was some sort of like chart that you could, if you had this elastic, to stretch it this amount, X amount, and that is great in theory, but every manufacturer who makes elastic, they have different qualities. So there's no, and again, I brought out 4 different types of Pico panty elastic, so that they were all knitted at different factories, so they might have different stretch percentages. So I would go against using a chart. Again, just your end goal is to develop like an intuition. So that's it. That's all for the Instagram live today. I will say that I have over 60 elastics listed in the web shop. So I have white, blush pink, black, red, in various widths, from panty to 1/2 inch Pico to wide scalloped to strap elastic. And if you're wanting to develop that intuition or that feel for sewing elastic, I highly suggest the trimmings kit. So in each trimmings kit, you get enough elastic to sew a panty and a bra. So you get the panty elastic, the bra making Pico plush elastic, the strap elastic, the hooks and eyes, and the rings and sliders too. So let me just scroll up here, make sure I didn't miss any other questions. I don't think so. I didn't see any pop up. And tomorrow it is going to be, no, I don't think I had any questions. Okay, cool. No more questions. Then I must have been very clear. So tomorrow we have how to sew an underwire channeling onto a bra. Because for a long time I inserted the underwire between the channeling and the fabric. Don't tell anybody, instead of inside the channeling. So I definitely wanted to show you that. And then if you have any questions, this is going to be, or if you want to watch this later or send it to a friend or share it on your Instagram, I'm going to put it on the IGTV so you can access it later when you're sewing. I'm going to have a blog post, and then I'm also going to put it on YouTube. So you can access this anytime. And if you have any questions, you can always email me or DM me, and I will help you as best as I can. So I will see you tomorrow. Keep your spirits high. We're going to get through this, and keep sewing.